Hello, this is Dr. Scott Denstead, founder of EZWxBrief, your best online source for aviation weather and education. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the EZFavorites. So to start, go up to the upper right and locate the Start button, and from the Quick Start menu, select Manage My Favorites. Now you'll notice that there are 5 folders that are initially created for you. These are just a starting point. You can delete these folders, you can rename them, you can add new folders as well. But we hope that this becomes the portal for you to get into the application itself. As you create favorites, you'll be able to visit those favorites from the Favorites panel. Now let's take a closer look. You can access your favorites anywhere you see the Start button by clicking on Start, Manage My Favorites. And so you can see here I've actually have 3 folders that have favorites already created. In this case I have 2 routes created, I have 2 airports, and I have 2 7-day forecasts. So at this point, if I wanted to visit the 7-day forecast for Marvin, North Carolina, simply click on that and it will take me right to that particular favorite. In this case, my 7-day forecast. I also can rename the favorites. So if I don't like KCLT and I want to put in Charlotte Douglas Airport, for instance, if I right mouse click, click rename, that allows me to choose a different name here. And you'll notice that the name now has changed. You can also drag and drop these favorites into a different folder. So for instance, let's say I wanted to drag and drop Charlotte Douglas Airport into the My Routes. I could do that. Just simply click and drag, put it into the My Routes, and you have the ability now to see the 2 routes you have plus Charlotte Douglas Airport as a 7-day favorite in the My Routes folder. If you still want to have a Charlotte Douglas 7-day forecast back up in My 7-day forecast folder, you can simply right mouse click and duplicate that and then drag that back up to the My 7-day forecast folder. And now you have a duplicate of that particular favorite. Now to create favorites, just look for the heart icon on the various different displays. So for instance, let's say I want to see a 7-day forecast for Baltimore, Maryland. Find Baltimore, Maryland in the list, select that, and at this point I can click on the heart and I can add that to whatever folder I want, My 7-day forecasts. And at that point in time, I have this saved as a favorite. I go to the Manage My Favorites, and there is Baltimore, Maryland sitting there in my 7-day forecast folder. Now let's say I want to create a brand new folder. I want to start saving favorites in that folder. In this particular case, I can go up to the main root folder, this EZWxBrief, right mouse click and create a new folder. And that allows me to choose a name. I'll call it Today's Flight. Add that, and that creates the new folder called Today's Flight in the favorites. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to browse the imagery and start saving favorites to this new folder. Go to Start, go to View Static Weather Imagery, and now let's say I wanted to save this particular prog chart to that new folder I just created. I locate on the lower left the heart. It's not filled in, which tells me it's not a favorite somewhere in the list of favorites that I have. So I click on that, and it will ask me what folder I want to create it in. So I can pick the new one I just created called Today's Flight, and then save that as a favorite. And so you go to Manage My Favorites, find Today's Flight, you open that folder, and there's our Prog Charts favorite. And let's say I want to delete that favorite from this particular folder. Well, I can right mouse click and delete it, but let's do it a different way. You can actually go back to the favorite itself, and you see that the heart is filled in. By clicking on that, that allows you to actually delete that favorite. Once that's done, go back to your folder. You see that that favorite is now gone. And let's say you have this particular favorite located in several different locations. So I'm going to go back and create that same favorite, the Prog Charts. I'm going to put it in the same Today's Flight folder. I go into Manage My Favorites. Now I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to rename it to something else. I'm going to call it Prog Charts 2. And now I'm going to drag this to a different folder under My Imagery. And so now I have it in two different places. It's the same favorite, but it's located in two different folders in this particular case. So if I want to delete that from all folders, go into Delete Favorite, and it will remind me, hey, I've got this favorite in more than one folder, and I can delete it from everywhere at that point. So now if I go back to the Favorites panel, you notice that it is no longer in Today's Flight, and it is no longer in My Imagery. You can also create a new folder from when you create a favorite. So let's go through the same process. Click on the heart. Now at this particular case, I don't want to save it in any of the folders I currently have defined. Instead, I want to add a new folder. Add that folder. And at this point, I can save that in this new folder I just created. So I'll go to Start, Manage My Favorites, and there's tomorrow's flight with that new favorite saved there. This works for airports, for routes, for 7-day forecasts, as well as imagery and even favorite workshops. So that's a quick overview of the EZFavorites. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the simplicity of EZWeatherBrief.